friends, neighbors, and of course the YouTube comments section. Good morning. Man, it is a rare Saturday that I have the whole day off, so YouTube videos abound today. So today's video, I have a new amplifier for the studio. Today I have a Lab Gruppen IPX1450 that will be powering these guys. These are midfield monitors that I have in my studio. So for those of you who do not know, I bought this Midas Heritage 2000 console in 2020, and this was my COVID project. There are still quite a bit of channels that need to need some TLC, so these are the good channels that have been, the preamps have been recapped and cleaned and all that kind of stuff, so check it out. I'm working on this today too, so depending on what order you see these videos and I get them edited, there will be some Midas Heritage console videos that have not happened for a while. So these are Acoustech 8025s. Now, I have no idea the specs or anything on these particular speakers. My dad got these in the early 90s at the NAMM show. And from what I understand, the LM booth was next to the Acoustech booth. And Dad said this guy's booth had this pair of speakers and a super audio CD player. That's right. What's more 90s than a 48K CD? So he was just doing demos with this speaker. So there was an amplifier, a speaker, or these speakers, and a super audio CD player. And I guess he traded cases for these speakers, which is kind of hilarious because that's the second set of speakers that my dad got for free at NAMM. I also have a set of three-way Serwin Vega speakers in my living room that he also got for a case trade at NAMM. Which, speaking of, I'm going to NAMM this year. This is the first time I've been to NAMM since, I don't know, probably 2012, 13, somewhere around there. So if any of you guys are going to NAMM in the YouTube Billy universe or any of the audio nerds, hit me up. Let's meet up. Anyway, these are passive speakers. What the specs are on them, I don't know, but they are kind of cool. They can be bi-amped if you want them, so you can run the tweeters separately from the woofer. But there's these little copper rods in the back that join the binding posts together. So if you don't want to bi-amp the speakers and bypass their internal crossover, which, you know, I guess that's some real audiophile stuff there that I, of course, am not. So I have two sets of passive speakers in the studio. I have these, and I also have my little Aventone mix cubes up here for my hi-fi speakers and my, well, sound good on a TV or a phone. So my mixing is predominantly done here on these Dynaudios with the sub. But I guess I'm one of the rare studios in 2024 with an amp rack. So because these amplifiers live in my studio, not in a machine room, they live in this custom case I built. This is an LM ISO rack, commonly referred to as the red rack, R-E-D, red like the color. So if you want to look up specs on that, I'll give you a link in the description below if you want to get real nerdy on some LM stuff. But basically what it does is it pulls air up through the bottom. There's a microprocessor controlled fan with a little thermometer probe on there, and it keeps everything cool. So actually, let's shed some light on this. The way that the studio is set up is the QSC RMX1450 amplifier down here is what drives the Acoustechs. The SLA1 is what drives the midfields or the Aventones. And then it's all basically controlled through a Persona central station, and then everything is processed through DBX drive racks. So the drive rack PA2 is what's handling the Acoustech speakers, and the drive rack Venue 360 is what's handling the Dynaudio speakers. So there's a room EQ on here. So, I mean, you know, there's acoustic treatment in the room, but it's not, you know, the most acoustically perfect room in the history of the world, because this is a bedroom. This is I think this is 10 by 10 bedroom that my home studio is in. So we need a little horsepower on the room correction. So I've had this Acoustech, or this QSC amp since, I don't know, 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. it's been in rehearsal spaces. I did gigs with it. It's done all kinds of different things, and the last few years of its life is it's been powering the acoustic speakers. The bad thing about it is it's just starting to get old, and actually it works fine. It just needs a little TLC. So for those of you who don't know, these attenuation knobs on an amplifier are exactly what the name implies. They're attenuation knobs. There's no gain that goes through these knobs. It can just attenuate the amplifier's signal down. Because of that, most people run their amplifiers wide open like this. I do. If you notice on the back of, or any of my sound videos, powered speakers will have the amplifier knobs all the way up like that, just because we don't want to attenuate the amplifier. I want all the horsepower the amplifier can give me. That being said, those knobs don't move. So, those are the things that can get a little crusty, and my knobs are crusty on this. To the point of where when certain transients come and hit, it can just add an unpleasant, crusty tone into the speaker. So the amplifier needs some TLC. I don't really have the time to do it. So on eBay it goes. So if you want to check out my eBay store, the link is in the description for any superfluous audio things that you may need. I'm going to be going on a tear and just getting some stuff sold here because the walls are caving in around me with gear. So the QSC 1450, RMX1450 must go. Enter in the Lab Gruppen IPX 1200. Now this is cool. I'm kind of digging this amplifier. So I have a couple installs coming up that I need to spec an amplifier for, and this one looks like it's very cool. So I figured I'll buy one early before the install comes up and use it in the studio. So this is a 1U amplifier that has DSP built into it. It can hop on the network. You can do some DSP. Which is kind of cool because I'm a little bit overly spec'd in the DSP department. I'd like to take my Venue 360 out of here and use it in my live rig again. So I think the IPX will certainly solve that problem. So let's get this thing out of the box and get it. We'll check it out. All right, check this thing out. Man, this is nice looking. Heavy, thick rack ears. So in the box, we get obviously the amplifier. We also get a locking IEC power cable. How very QSC of you. And we get, wait for it, rear mounting ears. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Ooh, excuse me, heck yeah. Sorry, I don't want to swear on the YouTubes. So this thing is nice. There's handles integrated into it. It has a nice thick ear on the front. So on the back, what do we got? We have IEC, obviously. Bananas, power cons, of course a network jack, and then what do we have? Oh, there's AES on the back of here. That's cool. And then there's analog in and analog out. That's pretty sweet. So, all right, I'm going to get this thing rocked up, and we'll see what she sounds like. All right, we are powered on. So the amp comes from the factory in a stereo configuration, so that if you do want to just turn it on and make it go, it works. Which is nice because it took me a minute to download the firmware for this particular thing. And it's pretty cool, although it's a bit, lacking in the graphics department, but hey, I mean, again, I'm a front of house guy, not a systems guy. Maybe this is the stuff that the systems guys are used to seeing. So it did come online and find its IP address really quick. That's no problem. So all you do to get into this is so I downloaded the IPX controller from the Lab Gruppen page. And then it just shows you, so I made a group that's called Studio right here. And then this is my IPX 1200. So you go in here and there's a mixer, which is pretty cool. And then you have individual controls. So I don't know how much music I can get away with playing before they ding me for copyright, but check it out. There's that. So you can see. So it is kind of cool. So what you get with this thing is you get basically, you have an input mixer. So you have all of the functionality of the amplifier right here. So there's analog 1, analog 2, analog 1, and analog 2. And actually the interesting thing is you can double feed these channels if you want. So that's why these are muted like this. You have an AES1, AES2, which is pretty cool. You can go in your global level here. So this is the input and the output. So you have attenuation on the input, on the output side, which is pretty cool. Also, you have a limiter, which, you know, I can't push anything loud enough here to put it in the limit. So if I go all the way hard, it'll sorta limit. You know, again, I don't want to play too much music here. I don't want to get in trouble for copyright. So anyway, the other thing that it has is it has an input and an output EQ. So you can do all of the mix final, no, seriously, mix final EQing that you want, which is pretty sweet. You know, it doesn't have an RTA mic or input or any of that kind of thing, but it does have some basic EQ, which, you know, for the studio, I admit this is overkill. You know, we really don't need this level of DSP in the studio, and it's not going to replace the drive racks in my world. But, you know, like I said, I have an install coming up. I may end up selling this amplifier, but, you know, I always use my own stuff as a test bed. But yeah, this stuff is cool. So you can change your filters. You know, here's, ooh, an all-pass filter. Whoa, that's cool. SSL, look out. That's kind of cool. Those of you who are not familiar with the all-pass filters, you can adjust your phase. So we have a bell, a notch, an all-pass, low shelf, high shelf, band pass, high pass, low pass, which is cool. This is pretty sweet as far as this. So factory default, just poking around in here before we say no. Look at that, 50 presets in here to do it. Yeah. So you have your frequency EQ, you have the gain, and then you have a delay. So if you want to delay any band of the EQ, which is pretty cool. So you know the amplifier you can use it as a two-way amplifier. It's powerful. So if you want to run subs on one channel and a top on the other for left and right, you can. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I wish I could play you guys music, and you know, I wish I could tell you that it sounds a heck of a lot different from my QSC RMX1450, but it doesn't. The only thing that I would say is a bit of a miss is here. Hang on, I'm gonna grab my iPad. So the only thing that's a little bit of a miss is the iPad app. So I don't understand how to get this thing to show up. So if you go into settings here, the only thing that comes up is demo mode. The only thing that comes up is demo mode and about. I don't know. You can make a new group. Oh, here we go. Members. So you can make a new group, but there's no place where you can have an IP address. To say, hey, you know, this is what's on. So I mean, I'm on the same Wi-Fi network, so that's the only thing that I really don't quite understand with this. You know, and Lab Gruppen doesn't have a dedicated IPX app. This is the only app in the App Store that says Lab Gruppen on it. So if you guys know how to work the app, that would be awesome. I would love to know how that works, but again, the controller for the computer, it just pretty much saw each other, or it saw the amplifier immediately and just came on. It was very easy. And even the firmware update only took a second. So anyway, that is the Lab Gruppen IPX1200. There is less than zero information on these things. So, you know, if you have any questions, I'm happy to help you any way that I can for me learning about the amplifier myself. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye.